Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our dissection of a new series I want to start that has been itching me for ever since I bought the book. It's a very radical feminist book on the sexual revolution, one of the most radical out there, by Laurie Penny. So let's continue digging into this, because if you want to defeat your enemy, you have to study your enemy. And for Muslim women, if we want to protect our daughters and our sons from their brainwashing, we must know their ideas and be able to combat it with the Quran and Sunnah and basic facts of this world, right? Let's continue. We're on the second reason that she was giving about challenges of sex and power in the modern age. Secondly, we are living through a profound and permanent alteration in what gender means. No, it will not be permanent, and it's not profound. It's degenerate and temporary, because Islam will win in the end. What sex means. Sex is your biology, it's something for procreation, or it's a hedonistic indulgence. Very simple. And whose bodies matter. Whose bodies matter? Another stab at abortion. Baby's life doesn't matter to her, obviously. She called it part of the revolution to have abortions. It's quite sick. This is a time of productive disobedience. Haha, rebellion. Productive disobedience. Now we will do productive obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what the Messenger, peace be upon him, brought to us. We're not going to rebel against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's laws. Rebellion is that of Shaitan, who wants to divide the household, which then crumbles society and infects minds, where women, men, and LGTB, blah blah blah, people everywhere are rejecting the gender binary as a mode of power. You can reject it all you want, but the facts of the matter are the facts of the matter. And we are on YouTube, so I can't speak the plain truth. I can say that my gender is a dragon, and that I'm Drogon who torched King's Landing. Alright? Ain't nothing revolutionary about my pretend realm in my head, where I'm Dumbledore. I'm a female version of Dumbledore. Right? We'll keep it there. We won't be too mean, because we are on YouTube. And walking quietly away from the expectations. Walking quietly away? They're definitely not walking quietly away. That would actually be nice. Imposed on them by thousands of years of patriarchy. Okay, so when she's speaking in double tongue here, by thousands of years of patriarchy, thousands of years of religion, Christianity and Islam. Okay? That's a dig at religion without getting at the religion. These changes are calling into existence new ways of organizing care, reproduction. See, reproduction is key codes for abortion, or different ways to organize abortion. They want to make a baby killing mill on every corner. They want women to just go in like it's nothing, sip a pina colada, and then have bags filled up with their little innocent baby's remains and then shipped off to be dissected by lab coats for profit and research. Cold organizing, I'd argue, in the work of building and sustaining the human species. Ways of life that are not based on competition, coercion, and dominance. Again, you see it here. You can never take competition out of this realm. I'm sorry. I compete in the classroom. I compete with my own self. You take away competition from the human psyche, decay will arrive. Slothness, nothing beautiful will occur. because you compete in good deeds. We Muslims compete in good deeds. If people are competing to read the Quran, to memorize it, that is good competition. And if men want to wrestle and they want to compete in that type of sport, there's a beauty in it. There's a beauty in a man winning. There's beauty in female competition as well. That isn't arbitrarily based on looks, because that isn't based on a skill that you build. You're born with it, so it's not the same. But plenty of women love competition. When I used to do street fighting, I liked the thrill and the adrenaline of punching another person in the face and then punching me. Because these women didn't pull hair like ghetto chicks and roll on the ground. They punched me like men. Or rather, women bears, I should say. We slugged it out, and I respect them for that. And it was a competition of our angry teenager wills for who was going to win and get the most clout and respect on campus. So women compete in more ways than one. And I like competition. It needs to be in our realm, and we love seeing competition. Come on. It is legendary when two minds come together for a very high tense discussion, or when two gladiators you can imagine back in the day going at each other in their arena till the bitter end. I mean, wow, I didn't get to live and see what happened in the Roman Colosseum, but there is a piece of me that wish I could have been in the crowd and actually witnessed one epic battle. Right? Come on. Just fascinating. Coercion. Sorry, but coercion is going to exist because evil exists. Coercion is not fun to experience, nor is it healthy for the individual to perpetrate. But since evil exists in our realm, coercion will. And dominance. Dominance will always exist, both in the nice way and in the bad way. Because the weak ones don't have a right to lead. The strong ones must lead. Now, when we're talking about a weak one in a wheelchair, they're strong in their mind. They can lead with dominance in their intelligence, but not physically. Because they have something that inhibits them from winning in a certain way. Dominance must happen. And some people are born to serve, and some are born to lead. You just cannot get rid of that. But on consent, competition has consent. Okay? You can consent to being dominated, to being led. Community. Competition doesn't exclude community. Dominance doesn't exclude community either. Quite absurd, I must say. And pleasure. Ew. No. Pleasure is not the main ingredient in life. Pleasure leads to overindulgence. It's not something that we should focus our lives around. The perversion is definitely coming to our eyes right now. Consent is the organizing philosophy behind many of these changes. The importance of consent cannot be overstated. And consent is a concept that goes way beyond sex. Well, I would agree that consent does have many forms. I consent to go to work, right? I consent to pay the electric bill. You consent to pay back a loan because you wrote your name on that. I consent to marriage. I consent to having my baby, whatever. Yes. Consent has many folds. Okay. Thirdly, these changes are profoundly threatening to the social and economic certainties that form our world. They disturb existing power structures. They undermine the authority of institutions from the waged workplace to the nuclear family. Aha! So right here, she even says it, right here. To undermine the authority of the nuclear family. So she's already declared war on the nuclear family, as I could tell from her beginning. I'm just very angry. I have to be careful. Don't want to go off tilt here, but her beginning writings. The waged workplace, there's nothing wrong with a fair day's work. Nothing wrong with that. You're not entitled to have a fat salary every month. These people just are insane. This sexual revolution is, by its very nature, a threat to heterosexuality, to male supremacy, to white supremacy, to traditional ways of dividing labor, organizing bodies, and distributing wealth. So she's just laid it right there. Right? It's not a conspiracy. Right here in this very own book, she's literally telling you that her philosophy is a threat to heterosexual people. Remember Prophet Lot, peace be upon him. Okay? And to male supremacy, so they don't want men to be able to protect us women. They want to have all female firefighters show up to your home instead of a solid, extremely fit male force coming to rescue you, right? No, it's got to be made unsafe for all of us so that people can pretend that women are physically stronger. And then to white supremacy, these people say white supremacy at everything. They blame white people for everything. And I find it to be highly absurd. Because there's poverty that exists in all cultures, and you cannot just blame jerks and a-holes on the color of their skin, but you should look at the content of their character. She's basically a genderqueer communist. An atheist, too. Because she just said again, to traditional ways of labor, dividing labor, both in the private sector and public sector. You have to read their books and see their own insanity for yourself, because people will say it's a conspiracy, that you're strawmanning them. Yeah, here we are. All of this is happening during a time of crisis, collapse, and relentless social upheaval. As the biosphere implodes, the global economy totters, and tyrants exploit this uncertainty to seize power, promising their supporters a return to the old, violent certainties of gender, race, and nation. Okay, here we go. A return to the old. So, I say quite often, we need to go back to orthodoxy, conservatism, of religious morality. And I think Islam should have that new chance to reign in the American culture. And she's framed it as violent. Whereas I see her, she called herself a threat to the heterosexual male world, which means she's going to be threatening my brothers who are all straight and black, you know? And if she wants to disrupt the straight men in the Muslim community, she's attacking our brothers in Islam. And we must be mindful of that. We cannot let her win. So she's actually a threat. And if she's threatening, we have a right to meet her with the same energy. Those two energies meeting each other become mutually violent. She's framing herself as someone who isn't going to get violent, but how does she think her revolution is going to not have violence? That's the thing. It's very fascinating reading this commentary of her, because she's just not very aware of her own voice sometimes. So they said to undermine the authority of the institutions from the workplace to the nuclear family. To undermine the nuclear family is a war on humanity and a war on Muslims. Because we have been given a system, the Sharia. We have been told to be married. We've been told how to do marriage. We've been told what's permissible. And we have to maintain that if we want to have blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when a feminists say they are not after the nuclear family, well, here's one of the most radical books, in my opinion, and they'll say, well, the radicals are just that, radical, and they don't have any sway. I'm sorry, this was in a very public, popular, liberal bookstore. And it was put on display so that you can notice it. And remember, she says that patriarchy is also a system ruled by fathers. And she don't like that. So she's showing you she wants to attack the nuclear family on the small scale and the large scale. Because she wants to reorganize the political economy of patriarchy, as she said in her own words. And she's heavily racist. You don't want any racist ideology to take foot. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And the fact that she says a system of patriarchy means old white men who are heterosexual. As I said in the other video, old people have a lot of wisdom. And one of the problems is us not listening to our elders. Very intense book. Really frustrating nonetheless. Let me know what you think. If you'd like to support the channel, join my blog. It's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. I hope to see you there. And I hope you learned something, even if your brain's on fire.